Now at 10 and streaming on crossroadstoday.com, police in Shiner have released the name of a couple killed in a house Tuesday afternoon.
An extreme heat wave causing a rise in migrant deaths along the U.S. southern border.
And the Port Lavaca Police Department held an active shooter training.
Of course, the story is the heat, and tomorrow it's another day of heat. We're looking at probably upper 90s for us, but the rest of the state of Texas is going to be into the hundreds. I'll have the latest for you coming up.
And the Victoria Generals are battling for 13 in a row tonight. That's coming up in sports.
You're watching 25 News now at 10. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Don Brubaker.
And I'm Karina Garcia.
Shiner police had the names of the two people killed in a shooting Tuesday. It happened around 1:19 p.m. in the 900 block of St. Ludmilla Street. Police found 45-year-old Maria Haley and her husband, 52-year-old Roderick Earl Haley, dead with gunshot wounds. A juvenile was in the house at the time. The shooting still under investigation.
Police say someone shot and killed a North Texas woman in what they say was an act of road rage. This happened Monday night around 9:15 in the Fort Worth suburb of Hearst. 37-year-old Paola Nuez was shot in the head after a vehicle had sped up and rode on their bumper. Nuez's husband called 911 as he tried to help his wife, but she died at a hospital. Police say the shooter's vehicle was described as a small, dark-colored, old model car. No suspects were identified and no arrests have been announced.
The Jackson County Sheriff's Office reports a Jackson County jail employee arrested Wednesday after a Texas Rangers investigation into an incident at the jail. The employee charged with violation of the civil rights of a person in custody and improper sexual activity with a person in custody. That's a second-degree felony. Bond has been set at $75,000. At this time, the identity of the suspect has not been released.
Just after 10 a.m. today, Victoria fire crews were busy in the 3400 block of East Red River Road for a car fire. The sports car was near two other vehicles and an RV, so there was concern the fire could spread. No word on how the fire may have started.
The FBI and Austin police searching a field in Pflugerville following leads related to possible serial killer Raul Meza Jr. The 62-year-old Meza arrested May 25th. He faces 4 charges and has combined bonds amounting to more than $3 million. Authorities tell KXAN they're looking into 8 to 10 more cold cases Meza may be connected with, but said that number could rise.
The National Weather Service issues excessive heat warnings for 2 area counties. DeWitt and LAVACA counties under excessive heat warning until 9 o'clock Tuesday night. The National Weather Service says heat index values up to 114 degrees are expected. And now we take several calls every day in the newsroom, and recently one of our viewers called concerned about the possible dangers that come with walking pets with this heat, seeing as the pavements can quickly become too hot. Another viewer mentioned she gives Postal Service workers and outdoor workers water when she can.
Good for her. And here's your viewer poll this evening. Scan that QR code on your screen to vote now. Here's the question. Have you helped a neighbor or pet in this heat? Yes or no? Let's look at the numbers. 66% of our voters say yes and 34% say no. We thank you for voting. Come to crossroadstoday.com/vote to take part. LAVACA County now under a 90-day burn ban. LAVACA County commissioners approved the ban Tuesday morning. All outdoor burning banned in the unincorporated area of LAVACA County. This burn ban recommended by the LAVACA County Fire Chiefs Association. And let's take a first look at your forecast with First Warn Storm Team Chief Meteorologist Mac Pettis. Now, Mac, we had a nice breeze, which made the heat a little
bit bearable.
Yeah, but here's the problem with that. It tends to dry out things, and it could cause more of a threat for fire. Right. Am I right on that?
Absolutely. And of course, the heat has dried out so much of the vegetation that grew after the beautiful rain. The crops are also getting dried out there, so all of this is piling up to a rather tinderbox situation. We do have the heat advisories up actually all the way through Friday now. We have the burn bans, and of course we're looking at temperatures staying right at near 100 through the next 2 weeks. I'll have more on that, and I've got a real interesting story for those of you who love fishing coming up in a little bit later on. Back to you.
Mac, thank you. Many workers in Texas taking precautions to deal with the brutal heat. Ice cold water provided at every one of the 5 North Texas UPS facilities for its delivery people. Light, healthy snacks often available as well. A major emphasis on beating the heat is also educating UPS employees on the food they pack and the food they eat. The Port Lavaca Police Department hosted an active shooter response training today, open to the public.
25 News Now weekend anchor Adam Seibel was there and can tell you more. Adam.
Yeah. Dude, look at the video. It's in the
Training was to equip the public with the knowledge of what to do in an active shooter situation, whether that be at work, at school, or just in a public setting. And they said that if you couldn't make it, you can contact the Port Lavaca Police Department and set up a training for you and your group, whether that be at work or another setting.
Of course, with Uvalde fresh on everybody's minds, what we wanted to do is in Port Lavaca start having district meetings and have a consistent message when it comes to active attacks.
This was the 5th training that the Port Lavaca Police Department hosted, and tonight's training did take place at the Bauer Community Center, and the presentation lasted a little over an hour, but it was filled with valuable knowledge, some of that knowledge that could save lives. And there's one more training scheduled for September. You can come to crossroadstoday.com for more information and to learn about surviving an active shooter event. Don, Karina, back to you.
Adam, thank you. A record-breaking heat wave creating dangerous situations.
And migrants at the U.S. border are feeling that pressure.
Guys, the triple digits are proving to be no deterrent for people who are trying to migrate into the United States. And federal agents, along with humanitarian groups, are staying hard at work.
Yeah, it's pretty bad right now.
The treacherous journey across the U.S.-Mexico border exacerbated by the dangerous heat wave. More than 100 migrants have died from heat so far this year in the Southwest. 13 just last week. In Arizona, the bodies of 53 people have been recovered across the desert since the start of the year.
It's really pretty bad, and I think it's heartbreaking.
Gail Kozurek is with Tucson Samaritans, a volunteer-based group that provides humanitarian aid to migrants along the border. She says over the weekend, a woman died.
The first thing they wanted to tell us that this man had walked up to them and said that his sister had died the night before along the wall. He was distraught and he was looking for help.
Gail says while en route to find the body, they encountered a Border Patrol agent also searching for her.
He had a canine with him and he found the body, and somebody put a blanket over her, which is, I thought, considerate of someone.
So far this year, Border Patrol agents have performed over 24,000 rescues along the southwest border, a record-breaking number that has doubled almost every year since 2020, according to the agency's data. U.S. Border Patrol Chief Jason Owens said on Twitter, over 5,300 rescues have been heat-related. Over the weekend, agents in Nogales found an unresponsive woman as they tracked a group of suspected migrants near Peña Blanca Lake. They carried the 22-year-old to an air ambulance, saving her life. Last month, 4 migrants were rescued south of Benson after calling 911. 2 other people ran out of water and had to be rescued by Borstar agents.
But the people that come from Central America, Southern America, they don't know this kind of heat. They live with humidity. They don't have the dry heat that sucks life right out of you.
2010 and 2021 were the deadliest years for migrants crossing the border in Arizona, with 225 and 224 deaths. As the sweltering record-breaking heat scorches the nation, there is no end in sight for Border Patrol agents and volunteers.
People aren't taking it seriously.
A key portion of an $18 billion legislative package to cut land-owning Texans' property taxes received unanimous approval in the Texas Senate Wednesday. The Texas Tribune reports the House is expected to vote on the legislation Thursday. The agreement would lower taxes for the state's 5.7 million homeowners. It would also cut franchise taxes for small businesses and send billions of dollars to school districts so they can cut their taxes for all property owners.
This week, the Texas Transportation Commission approved $96 million in state and federal funds for rural and small urban transit agencies across the state to help Texans travel to jobs, health care, and education. Victoria is getting over $355,000, while the Golden Crescent Regional Planning Commission will get over $1.3 million. These funds will go towards operating a network of mobility services. Now follow us on Twitter at Crossroads Today. Read the Texas Tribune article about Austin suspending their partnership with the DPS after a trooper pulled out a gun on a 10-year-old.
Here's some of the top headlines you can read in the Port Lavaca Wave. The Calhoun County Commissioner's Office approved a new firehouse for the Magnolia Beach Volunteer Fire Department. Texas AgriLife Extension offering locals a chance to walk across Texas in the water at Port Lavaca's public pool. And the Calhoun County DSHS has a new program designed to help spread awareness about the dangers of high heat. You can read these stories and more at theportlavacawave.com. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell, and on YouTube you can get Crossroads Today. Stay with us. Coming up on 25 News now at 10. New details emerge regarding the dentist who allegedly poisoned his wife.
Also ahead, victims of the grocery store shooting filed a lawsuit against social media companies and a gun shop, claiming the companies helped the gunman load the gun.
Fentanyl crisis, unmasking the deadly wave. Join 25 News Now weekend anchor Adam Seibel for a 25 News Now Extra, Thursday, July 13th at 10 p.m. We focus on the alarming rise of the deadly drug fentanyl.
What you know about fentanyl is probably maybe 10% of the reality.
Fentanyl is easy to make and cheap to get, and it has flooded communities across the United States, leaving a trail of devastation in its wake. Don't miss this eye-opening extra that could save lives.
And family members of the Tops Friendly Market mass shooting victims against corporations they say are liable for the shooting. The lawsuit filed against social media companies, body armor manufacturers, and a gun shop. claims the companies helped the gunman, quote, load the gun, unquote, and were conspirators. The May 2022 shooting killed 10 people and left 3 others hurt in a racially motivated rampage. An 18-year-old white supremacist drove 200 miles to a predominantly black community in Buffalo and gunned down shoppers inside the Tops Friendly Market.
And let's be clear, highlighted by the fact that we're in a church, this is a reckoning. For Meta, for Amazon, for Twitch, for Google, for YouTube, for vintage firearms for the defendants that we've named, we will see you in this court, and you will be held accountable for, as Ben Crump said, loading this gun.
The suit was filed on behalf of family members who lost loved ones in the May 2022 shooting in Buffalo. The gunman is currently serving a life sentence.
Now to the Colorado dentist who authorities have accused of murdering his wife by secretly lacing her protein shakes with poison so he could be with another woman.
The woman he had started seeing is speaking out for the first time as the suspect faces a judge.
It was a murder case that captured the nation earlier this year. Dentist Dr. James Craig accused of fatally poisoning his wife Angela Craig, a mother of 6. According to the arrest affidavit, authorities suggest he had murdered her to be with another woman. Craig was in court Wednesday for a preliminary hearing where prosecutors revealed new details, saying Angela had lethal levels of cyanide and a decongestant commonly found in Visine eye drops. Also alleging Craig had conducted Google searches about poisoning, including how many grams of pure arsenic will kill a human.
I knew the details, but it's just hard to relive the memories.
Texas orthodontist Karen Kane, who had been seeing Craig, now speaking out in an ABC News exclusive.
Do you think that James Craig allegedly poisoned his wife to clear the deck so he could be with you?
There's no way I'm motive. There's been no planning a future together.
She says he told her he was also going through a divorce as she had been.
He told me they hadn't been living together. He had an apartment.
Kane visiting Craig in Denver. Angela was on life support after suffering a seizure.
He at no point seemed stressed or anxious or, I mean, really I had to drag it out. I'm like, are you sure you're okay? Because he seemed okay.
Kane says they met for dinner twice. Soon after, Angela was pronounced dead. Craig was arrested and charged with first-degree murder. Investigators questioned Karen, who was in shock.
I can't even imagine the loss of a family member, and then to consider that it could be at the hands of someone that had been in the family for 25 years.
Craig has not yet entered a plea but maintains his innocence. Rena Roy, ABC News, New York.
A new study shows 56% of the world's oceans have changed color in the last 20 years. Waters in the tropics close to the equator are now greener. The report in the journal Nature Wednesday says human-caused climate change is likely responsible. Teams from study in UK and the MIT are behind this new study. Their findings are based on an analysis of 2 decades of ocean color data. Pack the Bus registration underway for children in need of school supplies. You can register to receive supplies online on the Faith Family Church website at myfcc.com/packthebus. Supplies will also be given Saturday, August 5th at the Faith Family location on Mockingbird. For questions about registration, stop by Faith Family Church Monday through Thursday from 9 a.m. to noon or contact Stephanie Kadingo at 361-573-2484.
Here's some of the top headlines you can read in the CUERO record. DeWitt County 4-H'ers excel at state competition, and Victory Family Church welcomes new pastors. Plus, local CUERO youngsters star in the 4th of July parade. You can read these stories and more at DeWittCountyToday.com.
Well, good evening, everybody. Currently, we're looking at an 85-degree temperature. Our high today got up to 99. Not a record. A record would have been 105, but we don't really need to go there. The problem is we're going to be hovering around 99 all week long. We'll be talking about that and some very interesting developments in the Gulf of Mexico regarding our fish. We'll talk about that coming up in a moment. Well, good evening, everyone. These are the high temperatures we had around the area today, observed highs. Notice that along the coastal areas, we did get into the upper 90s, almost to the 100, but just to the west of us, that's where the 100-degree temperatures went all the way to El Paso. So places in North Texas, here it is, I-35, 105 in Dallas, 105 in Waco, 105 in Austin, 105 in San Antonio, and 109 down Laredo. Everything on the other side of that was well into the hundreds. And I wish I could tell you there was even some change, but it's a 7 to 10 day kind of thing that we're stuck in. And tomorrow, not tomorrow, let's see, by Monday, we may actually click these temperatures up another 2 degrees. That's because of the amount of pressure that's going to be on top of us. As Don was mentioning earlier, we do have the burn bans, and so let's all be very cautious out there. Even, you know, the hot exhaust on a big pickup truck going through the brush could be a problem. So try and avoid that. But that's LAVACA County, Goliad, Refugio, and down in Aransas County as well. Now the advisories continue. We'll be under these for quite some time. The pressure is so strong over us that it only allowed one little thunderstorm out here in Lubbock. They're getting some nice monsoon rains in New Mexico, but in the daytime it's still warm before the thunderstorms take off. We have advisories all the way up through Thursday and Friday, and that will continue into next week as well. But as I mentioned earlier, we have a lot of company in this heat wave. You notice how the record-breaking temperatures will be up as far north as Nebraska and Kansas and Missouri. I don't know if they've started their harvest yet, but this is not going to be good for them as well. The heat wave then goes all the way west, all the way to Medford, Oregon, where they're going to be at record warming temperatures. And of course, the dome is there, and it is stuck, and it is not moving. And this is all of North America, Northern Hemisphere, because remember, the heat goes all the way up to the Arctic Circle, where they're getting temperatures they've never seen before. I want to bring another story out to you. This is the water temperature off of Florida. As you know, we have the Everglades right about here. And these temperatures here in the purples are in the 90s, the water temperature. I saw one report right here in the Everglades, blanking on the name, but water temperature was at 98 degrees. That's pretty unbelievable. And this is not good. Fish don't like it. The reefs don't like it. It's probably going to get a bloom of some sort of algae, and it's just not good for anybody. So that is just what's going on. And here's what concerns me. What about us? Would that warm pocket of water, it's not going to go away. It's not going to chill out in the next week. So it may be floating around out there. And so we're going to have to watch their water temperature as well as ours. Tomorrow morning, we're looking at 84 in Port Lavaca, getting up to 94, sunny all day long. But as long as the breeze is blowing, it's good. We're looking at 81 in the morning in CUERO, getting up to 100 as a high temperature. The rest of us are going to be hovering right there at 98 to 100 degrees all the way through the weekend. So whatever you have or had planned outdoors, consider taking it indoors or moving it over to what's that, Peter Piper Pizza? That's Don's favorite dinner place. That's your 7-day forecast. We are, of course, have a QR code. We'd love for you to scan that and put Crossroads Today on your phone. Now here's Gino with sports.
Thanks, Max. Starting Friday night, Victoria is going to be hosting multiple events. We take a look at them after the break. At the Crossroads, the Victoria Generals were looking to continue its win streak tonight. The Generals had multiple runners on base in multiple innings, but could not get a run across the plate. It wouldn't be until the 4th inning when Christopher Munoz stole 2 bases and was fortunate enough to score off an error. The Bombers tied the game up in the 7th inning, but the Bombers would implode and had 3 defensive errors when the Generals would take the lead 4-1. But then they would explode in the 7th to win the game 7-5. The Generals' win streak of 12 comes to an end. They will play the Seguin River Monsters tomorrow in Seguin. The United States and Panama battled it out on the pitch tonight for a trip to the finals. It would be silent until extra time when Panama took the lead. The United States defense was asleep at the wheel. Panama had a beautiful pass and the keeper flies right by for the goal. Things were looking grim for the boys in blue until seemingly out of nowhere a magical header falls at the feet of Ferreira to tie the game at 1. Penalty kicks we go again. Both teams scored 4 out of 5 goals, but the deciding goal would come when USA missed it and Panama knocks it through, knocking the Americans out. They will play the winner of Mexico and Jamaica. There's some exciting events coming to the Victoria area, and it starts on Friday. Tapper Scrap 6 will be featuring 24 mixed martial arts fighters from all around the Lone Star State, some of which competing for titles. The Victoria Community Center will once again host the 12 scheduled fights on Friday with doors opening at 5:30. It will cost you $45, and you will have to buy your ticket at the door if you want to attend, or you could buy your tickets tomorrow at the weigh-in at Homewood Suites between 2 and 4 o'clock. The Bad News Chairs are also going to be in town. The Adaptive Sports Organization is hosting the 6th annual Crossroads Wheelchair Softball Classic. The event will start on Saturday, July 15th. Opening ceremonies will start at 8:45 in the morning and at the Challenged Athletes Dream Complex in Riverside Park. First pitch will be at 9. Teams from Oklahoma, San Antonio, Houston, and the Crossroads will be competing. The teams will be competing for the title. The event is free and open to the public. Also going on this weekend is the Texas Amateur Athletic Federation Swimming Region Qualifier. Nearly 300 swimmers from the ages 5 through 18 will be in Victoria to try to qualify for regionals. The athletes will compete at the VISD Aquatic Center and competing in various events. The event will start Saturday and continue through Sunday. Well, that's your sports. Don and Karina, back to you.
Thanks, Gino. Stay with us. Coming up on 25 News Now at 10, we'll take a last look at your weather, plus a 500-pound robot sculpture makes its new home under the sea.
Has left Lithuania after wrapping up 2 days of high-stakes meetings with leaders at a NATO summit. The summit was a test of the president's promise to repair America's international relationships, which include the 31-country Mutual Defense Pact forged in the aftermath of World War II. He promised Ukraine that its Western partners would not back away from its defense. The final stop on his 3-country, 4-day foreign trip is in Finland. 160,000 actors are prepared to strike if talks between SAG-AFTRA and the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers fail by midnight. At stake is increased base compensation, the threat of AI, and benefit plans. Tuesday, SAG-AFTRA, that's Screen Actors Guild, agreed to AMPTPS's request to meet with federal mediators. The actors union also disputed reports they made the request for mediation after an emergency meeting Monday. So they're going on strike. The Heat is not going on strike, unfortunately.
No.
But my question is...
I'm a member of AFTRA. That means I got to go.
Oh, my gosh. Well, good night, and we'll fill in.
See you next time.
Yes.
No,
he's just acting.
Oh.
Now, let's talk about Saharan dust.
Yes.
Now, there is how much of a threat is it to coming here?
People can't remember, the Africa is desert and then jungle, side by side.
Right.
It's really weird. The storms begin in the jungles, and when they collapse, they cause these big dust storms in Africa. And you're thinking, what do we care? Because then they blow across the Atlantic, and they don't disappear. I mean, it's dust, right? And so it's going to be heavier along the East Coast. We're going to get some here, and the way you'll identify it is when we start getting these reddish sundowns. You know, the sun going down, you get kind of a red sky because the sand will be there. Now, you know, is it going to be, you know, end of the world scenario? No, I think it's going to give us some pretty interesting sunlight, but it does cut down the rain chance over much of the Gulf and much of the Atlantic as well. Folks, we're in the oppressive heat. It's going to be like this for quite some time. Whatever you're doing to stay cool, that's what you got to do tomorrow as well.
All right, thank you, Mac. Now a 500-pound robot scuba diver sculpture has a new home tonight, 100 feet under the sea. The sculpture sits on the stern of the Lady Luck sunken ship. It's part of an underwater art exhibition called Shipwreck Park. The sculpture has been on display for a year, and a whole team of divers slowly helped descend it to the bottom.
What's not cool about this sculpture? You know, there's so few parks around the world that have underwater scuba sculpture gardens that people can come down and see and watch them as they grow.
Artists in Oregon designed the piece and helped bring it down there. So good stuff. Well, thank you for joining us tonight for 25 News Now at 10.
Join us for Sunrise at 5 a.m. Good night.